Today, I want to talk to you about GMOs. Yes, this topic that is causing controversy across Nigeria right now. I have a lot to say about this, so this video is going to be a long one, but fret not. I've broken it into parts, and all parts have been uploaded, so it's easier to follow up. I know that most of you would rather want to watch Pella or somebody shaking bomb bomb. That's fine. This video is not for you anyway. This video is for people who are genuinely concerned about their futures. So, let's dive in. What are GMOs? Okay, before I go into that, let me establish something first. In every living organism, there's something called DNA. In simple terms, this is like an instruction manual for that organism. How it lives, how it behaves, how it looks like, Now, inside that DNA, we have genes. Genes are a specific page in that instruction manual. So a gene will determine things like your eye color, your hair color, whether you have a natural figure 8, stuff like that. And genes are inherited from our parents. That's why most times we look like them. Good. Now that we have established that, what are GMOs? Okay, so you remember that instruction manual analogy. Keep that in mind. Let's say a person is supposed to have brown eyes. I now find that specific page where it says brown eyes. I tear out or edit that page and replace it with something else that says green eyes. So what will happen now is that when that person is born, instead of the person to have brown eyes, the person will now have what? Green eyes. That is genetic modification. So GMOs, which stands for genetically modified organisms, simply means organisms whose genes have been changed so as to give you different results. I watched Aproko Doctor's video. Somewhere he talked about our forefathers engaging in genetic modification. That isn't entirely true, because what he's talking about is hybridization, not genetic modification. Yes, I know. I'm not a doctor, but anybody that has an idea of biology knows I'm right. The difference between hybridization and genetic modification is simple. The first one is done naturally, but with assistance from either humans or nature. How so? Now, let's say our forefathers have two types of tomatoes. One of them is usually very big, but it used to be sweet. And the other one is not so big, but it's very sweet. They would cross-pollinate these two naturally occurring crops of the same species. And then the new tomatoes from these two would be big and sweet. They will now save the seeds of these new tomatoes and start replanting those ones. Genetic modification, on the other hand, is not natural at all. And it is very often interspecies. They can take a gene from a completely different organism and join it to the plant. A real-life example of a genetically modified organism is BT cotton in Nigeria. Now, this BT cotton produces its own pesticides because what these scientists did was that they observed the bacteria in the soil, Bacillus thuringiensis. That's where the BT comes from. Now, this bacteria is toxic to pests. They now took a gene from that bacteria, added it to the cotton plant, so that when pests eat this cotton plant, they would die. Now that we have established what GMOs are, let's now talk about the practical impacts of GMOs. GMOs offer a lot of benefits in contrast to organic food or crops. For example, GMOs are usually pest resistant, like BT cotton I gave earlier, or drought resistant. They usually have bigger, sweeter fruits. This would lead to better harvest, eliminate the need for rainy season before you cultivate. And in the actual sense of them, GMOs are supposed to be good. And to a large extent, they are. But of course, anything with an advantage has disadvantages, some of which are GM crops are very competitive. They can overshadow naturally occurring plants. GM plants can cause loss of biodiversity, which means aside from plants, other organisms too in the soil environment, GM plants can wipe them out. GMOs are rumored to cause allergies or antimicrobial resistance. Now, I say rumored because this hasn't been proven yet. GMOs are protected by laws and policies. You can't handle GMO as you wish as a farmer. Make you just know. But I'm not here to talk to you about the good sides or the bad sides. I'm here to tell us why, as Nigerians or Africans, we should not accept these GMOs. I'm not here to spread rumors that GMOs can cause cancer, or if you eat GMOs, your children will be deformed, or any of that nonsense. I'm here to tell you a more sinister reason why we should flee from this idea. Why we should take the saying, all that glitters is not gold, very, very seriously. The reason why I said we should flee from these GMOs are these. Number one, in the world currently, there are only 4 major companies with the rights to these GMO patents: Bayer, Monsanto, Syngenta, Corvetta, and BASF. These 4 companies own the rights to most commercial GMO seeds. Now, what this means is that most commercial GMO seeds are protected with laws and policies. Policies like when a farmer buys GMO seeds, they sign a contract that prohibits saving and replanting those seeds. You can't replant seeds from your harvest. You must buy seeds from those companies. If you replant it without permission, they can and will sue you for breach of contract. Monsanto sued hundreds of US farmers for replanting seeds now. All these things are public knowledge. I know they talk because I just want to talk. Carry your phone, do research, make yourself see. I know you're probably wondering something like, is it not if they know that I replanted it? I mean, I can just carry it to another farm, give someone else to replant them for me. It is actually not that easy. Because you see, these GMOs have genetic markers, like something to identify them. So if they suspect someone and they know that this person did not buy seeds from us, they would send a sample of your crop to the lab, they would check the crop, and if they catch you, you go get lawsuits. This thing is so serious that let's assume breeze or insects carry the seeds enter your farm, and those seeds now grow, them come catch you. You go still chop lawsuits. Even though it's not your fault, it's completely accidental. All these things are even small safe. Now, to curb the issue of replanting seeds, they're now developing something called terminator seeds, which causes the plants to produce sterile seeds. Meaning that if you buy GMO seeds, you plant them, they grow. You now try to replant those harvested seeds, it will not grow. What will not happen? You will now have no choice but to go back and buy from them. Although this hasn't been commercialized because of global pushback, but this just gives you an idea on the danger we face. All of that is just number one. Number two, dependency and control. GM crops usually have their own fertilizers and pesticides. Guess who's selling it? Exactly, those companies too. So you will not only buy seeds, you will buy other things from them too, creating a system of dependency. Now, for control, if these companies control what we plant, it means they also control what we eat. If they control what we grow, they also control indirectly what we can export, what we can eat, if we will even eat though. Because if you decide that, okay, they're no longer selling GM seeds to us, and organic seeds are going out of circulation because everyone is now planting GM seeds, waiting you go chop. Hunger will finish us, eh? So you see that it's not even about GMO causes cancer. GMO will give you high BP. We are facing a very real danger, worse than cancer, in my opinion. Do you know what it means that a nation's ability to grow food, to eat, is dependent on 4 foreign companies? They will dictate if over 200 million people will eat or starve. Reason them now. Number 3, there is a huge rejection by other countries. Another factor to consider is the fact that other world powers have vehemently rejected GMO adoption. In fact, America is the only country with the largest GMO consumption/promotion. Yeah. Now, guess which country is the largest producer and exporters of GMO? Good. You are getting it now, Bar. You're getting it, Bar. Other countries, France, Germany, Italy, Australia, Greece, Poland, China, all have a negative stance on both GMO imports and cultivation. Now hold up, I mentioned Germany under the list of those rejecting GMOs, but earlier in the video, 2 out of the 4 companies are owned by Germany. The bloody irony. Are you seeing what I'm showing you guys? So they no one chop arm because of environmental and health concerns, but they're exporting it for us. I'm just saying, Nabi, with lab rats now. Like, these are not conspiracy theories, though. Use your phone and check these things. Ask questions. Join 2 and 2 together. There is a lot that is going on. There are more reasons, and I could go on and on, but let me leave it at the most important. So with all these things being said, the question on everybody's mind now should be, why Africa? Why are they trying to sell us this idea as the Holy Grail? The answer is quite simple. It is a business and they see us as their target audience. As per Africa is the continent with the most hunger now, we know they chop for here. Kai Jesus. They will tell you that the idea behind GMOs to solve world hunger is to end starvation. Why does your solution come with contracts and subscription fees then? Why isn't it free? If the goal is to really solve hunger, if the goal is to really help, why is there a price tag on it? A price that, in my opinion, exceeds monetary value, a price that we will not be able to pay. If you have been following up the videos, at this point you would understand what I'm talking about. Just think about it. See, don't let anybody whine you and say that good things don't come for free. Yes, that is true. But when the idea behind it is philanthropy, then it should be free. Besides, these companies have big investors. Topping that list is Bill Gates. Bill Gates is a name you're probably shocked to hear because isn't he the Microsoft guy? Yes, he is, but he's not just that. What you probably do not know is that Bill Gates is one of the most influential private actors in global agriculture today. How? Through money and influence. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, it's a foundation he owns, he has poured billions of dollars into GMO-based agricultural development, especially here in Africa. It's not even today this is how you do. GMOs have been existing since as far back as, if I'm not mistaken, the 90s. But for Bill Gates, since as far back as, I think 2008, 2009, he has been involved in it. So remember how I said other countries have either banned or heavily limited GMO use? That's because they have bodies and agencies in charge of regulating these things for them. So you might be wondering, so is it that in Africa we don't have such agencies? We do actually. But guess who funds them? Of course, Bill Gates. That's why in this part of the world, it seems like we're not strict about it. That's because the people who are supposed to protect us from such things are sitting on the same table with the people they are supposed to be protecting us from. So these agencies are pushing pro-GMO agendas, allowing them to be imported, allowing them to be cultivated, allowing them to be sold. If you followed up to this point, let me say thank you for your patience. Now, with everything I've said, I want to believe two things. One, your eye don't open. All of us, we don't wake up now. Two, and for the record, I am all about the science behind GMOs because I actually believe that it may have the potential to end world hunger. However, you now understand that this is not just about science. This is not just about improved harvest or feeding the hungry. It's about power. It's about control. It's about who owns your right to eat. Yes, it may not be like that now. That may not be the agenda that is now. But who knows in 20 years, in 30 years to come. Because let's call it what it really is. If you do not control your seeds, you do not control your food. If you do not control your food, you are not a free person. These are not just innovations. They are systems of dependency that is wrapped in scientific language and they now sugarcoat it with the tag charity. Something that they themselves do not want to have anything to do with, but they are pushing it to us. They say it's about ending hunger. But let's ask ourselves, what's good is feeding people today if you can potentially take the ability to feed tomorrow? This is not paranoia or conspiracy theories or anti-science. Like I said, I am in support of the science. I am not just in support of who controls the science. If we don't wake up now, the next generation of Nigerians or Africans, our children, our grandchildren, can possibly wake up to a world where the right to grow food, cassava, beans, even rice will come with a license fee. So this is not just a conversation about food. It's not just a biased conversation. This is a conversation about freedom. So I will leave you with this. Are we going to continue to trade our food sovereignty for short-term convenience? Or are we going to wake up and defend what is ours? Our seeds, our lands, our right to eat before it is too late. Think about things deeply. Ask questions. Get involved. All that glitters is not gold. All that glitters is not gold. Until next time, peace.